going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Messy Media. That's the podcast. I hope all our audio levels are hunky-dory here, but we'll make some adjustments on the fly. Anyway, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast. My name is Zach, in case you didn't know that. Does my audio sound clipped down?
No.
Is that just me?
No, it sounds good.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast. This is episode 5, and we are in a new location. Obviously, this is a little different than our last podcast, but we're in my living room, and we have an extra guest here today. So I will introduce my first guest, Mr. Luke Sullivan.
What's up? What's up? How's it going?
And we're going to switch cameras over to, obviously, my co-host here, Noah Ramsey.
What's up?
So we are... we're going to do things a little, I guess, live today. So I'm going to be switching cameras live and stuff like that. But like I said, we're out here because we got 3 of us today. So this is the first time that I've had more than 2 people on the podcast. Now we have all 3 of us. So today, the topic we're talking about is breaking into the music industry. That's kind of the theme, is how to get into the music industry. We're going to talk about some stories of getting into the music industry, being in the music industry, playing live shows, being on tour, that type of thing, and getting yourself out there as a musician, as an artist, that type of thing, which is why we have Mr. Luke Sullivan here with us today, because he is a live musician.
Drummer extraordinaire.
Aspiring. Drummer extraordinaire. But yeah, we all kind of grew up in music. We all do that. But I think Luke is the only one of us that actually plays live with bands or worship sets and has actually been on tour as a musician.
Yeah, I've definitely been doing it for a minute, but I should say I'm definitely still aspiring. Like I think the title or subject of this is breaking into the industry. I still feel like I'm knocking at the door sometimes. So, but yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of insight on what it takes to just create relationships and kind of do that thing. So.
Well, since we're here on my couch, I'm going to get comfy. But so yeah, that's something I wanted to hear your perspective on. I want to just tell some stories, and obviously this podcast is really chill and really easy going. But Luke's actually my cousin. We've known each other our entire lives. We grew up together, and at some point we were actually in a band together when I think we were like 13.
Yeah, I mean that was probably like the end of it.
Yeah,
we were probably younger.
We were really, really young at the time. So we've been playing music together our entire lives, and our family grew up in church and playing on worship bands all over the place. So we were always, kind of thrown in there. Luke's has been thrown in on worship sets, being a guitar player, a drummer. I think he played on the keys a few times, stuff like that. I've just been a bass player. That's the only thing I've ever done. Live music-wise, I just play bass. But so we grew up doing that. That's kind of been our thing, and be able to say, we played on a lot of different worship bands, just small local churches and stuff like that. But Luke actually stepped it up from there. I went on to do music production, media production. That's my thing. Luke went on to play a little more seriously, take his education as a musician more seriously, with drum lessons and educating yourself and learning new things. I just play for fun. And, he went on to actually tour with other artists and stuff like that. So I just wanted to hear some stories about that. Luke, let's hear some stuff. Let's hear about, what artists have you played with, and what kind of things have you done as a drummer?
Yeah, well, let's start with Crown of Thorns from the very beginning.
Crown of Thorns, man.
Yeah.
Little elementary, middle school rock band. I mean, it was the days.
Those were that was the solid, good Christian rock band era that we just felt like we wanted to get into that.
Yeah. Those were like the MySpace days, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But we weren't allowed to have MySpace. At least I wasn't. So we had Faith Freaks.
We had a Faith Freaks.
Which was a Christian MySpace.
Faith Freaks?
Christian off-brand MySpace. That's what that was.
Really?
So I remember just being super geeked out about creating a Faith Freaks for our band, and just coming up with a name and the theme we wanted the page to be, and it was just
we
fun.
actually did end up getting a Facebook page.
Yeah, we did. I do remember that.
I still am the manager of that Facebook page, and I get notifications all the time about people looking at our page or liking our page.
That's hilarious.
And it's been years since we've ever done anything Crown of Thorns related. But that was our band growing up.
Wow,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then from there you went on to.
Yeah, from there. Well, so I played at church, and the few different churches we went to growing up, I've always played. I feel like I've gone to church my whole life, but I've been on a kit at services more than I've been in the audience or in the congregation. So like, it is super foreign to me to not be playing the drums at church.
Yeah.
But playing at church, and then a good buddy of mine named Chris Burns, who I actually met at church down in Chillicothe, Ohio. I played with him for a good part of 4 years. I started when I was 15 and then played till I was about 19. So.
And you played on one of his albums too, didn't you?
Yeah, actually two of them.
Two of them.
They were both live records, worship albums. But yeah, it was fun. Kind of like one take. You're not punching in anywhere. It was just kind of
Live is live.
raw
gets.
and organic. Yeah,
It's good
super
stuff.
fun.
That's a lot of fun to be
Yeah.
able to say that you did stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And you actually toured a little bit with Chris too, right?
Yeah, so I would say like that was the height of my like drumming career thus far. I've played like some bigger stages in front of more people, but like I played with him more consistently than I have any other artist. And those were like the times of my life, like just super fun, like chilling with a bunch of those dudes were like 10 years older than me. So like I was this high school kid getting to like travel across like the region, across the country a little bit. And it was fun getting to fly to like churches to play. And
Right, like out to California and stuff
yeah,
like
California. Shoot, where else did we go? North Carolina, West Virginia, all over Ohio, a few other states. So
So you played those. You played with Chris on a couple of his albums, on live albums, and traveled with him and stuff like that. And then you got the chance to play with Holland a couple times,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, so we did. I played maybe four festivals with her, and that was just a really cool connection. Like met her through a friend basically, and Andrea.
Yeah.
So our friend Andrea, and just really honored to be able to like step in and like fill in for a few shows and played in front of thousands of people. Like
That's awesome.
like that was
yeah.
like the height of like that's the best gig I've got to play so far for sure.
Yeah,
I had a blast.
I thought that was like insane when you landed those because I mean she's huge. Obviously.
Yeah, and I will say like that had nothing to do with like my skill, had nothing to do with like any credentials. That was just like being at the right place at the right time, knowing the right people basically.
Right.
So-
But then also you have to be a good drummer because
Yeah, you
like,
have to be ready for
yeah,
sure.
like because I know Andrea and I've met Holland and stuff. I am not good enough musician that she would even remotely have considered me to play with her at all. Like so
I wouldn't
you
count
obviously
yourself
had
out. She might have needed a DJ or something.
Yeah, highly unlikely. But you had the credentials to play. You
Yeah.
know, with one of the biggest Christian artists out there. You know.
Yeah,
the time.
it was definitely a blessing, and I look back on that, and like I think that I was a little bit disappointed that nothing came out of that. Like right now I don't feel like there was any connections that were established that like are benefiting me to this day, but you never know. And like my biggest tip and best piece of advice for anybody trying to break into the industry is like just be ready with your craft, whatever you play, whatever you're doing, whether it's music or not, just be ready. And then it's more about like just like being at the right place at the right time. Yeah, everyone I've heard that's talked about like, how did you get this gig, or how are you traveling the world, and it's never like, well, I went to this school and my professor. I mean, it's just all about connections.
Being in the right place
Yeah.
at the right time, because networking is a huge part of any industry that you're in.
Yeah.
I think like I've had my own personal experience with networking, like especially just breaking into any industry, especially like the media or music industry. Making networking connections has gotten me more paying jobs or anything than anything else. Like more than as much marketing or branding or advertising I put in on my own business and stuff like that. As a DJ or videographer or anything like that, networking and just knowing people and those people knowing people, that's made better connections for me than anything. And that actually was one thing that I think I kind of I don't know, I got commended on a couple of times was my ability to network with people when I meet them, because like I always have business cards in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I've been like, people have been like told stories about how I've just met people and they're like talking to me, oh yeah, whatever, and I'm like, oh cool, awesome, need a DJ and whatever. Like I went to Texas Roadhouse one time. I was there with Ken's and Darian and Noah, and different Noah than this Noah here. No, so we were all sitting around eating, and the waitress comes up and she reaches across the table to put the food down, and Darian noticed her engagement ring on her finger, and as soon as Darian said, "Oh, is that an engagement ring?" I knew right there. I was like, "This is my opportunity." So I slipped a business card out of my pocket, pulled my business card wallet out, and I slipped a business card out. And Darian was like, "Oh, is that an engagement ring?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I just got engaged." And then she goes, "Oh, that's great. When's the wedding?" And she's like, "Oh, it's so and so this summer, whatever." And I was like, "Awesome, need a DJ?" And I flipped my card out right then. And all of them were like, "Where did you get that from?" I was like, "Because I was looking for opportunities. I'm always looking for opportunities to sales pitch myself and make those network connections as soon as I'm able to." But I think that's landed a few gigs for some of us. Just the ability to network,
And you made a good point how you were saying that you felt like none of those, you didn't really get any connections from playing with Holland that are still benefiting you to this day. Networking is more than just meeting people
For sure.
and giving numbers. The thing is, you played with her, and the crew saw you play.
For sure, yeah.
The sound engineers know that you're a drummer, and if anyone ever is looking for a drummer, there's a chance that they could contact Holland and be like, "Hey, who was that drummer you played with?" It's more than just the front side of it.
Yeah, it's so easy to think small-minded when you have an opportunity like that or any kind of big opportunity in your life if it doesn't work out the way you thought it would.
Right.
Because, that was a big thing. It didn't just happen like, "Hey, we want you to come play with us," and I wasn't on the road the next day. It was like I anticipated this for months.
And you practiced and worked on your craft in between. And
so, for months...
even like you and I shot a couple videos of your drumming.
Yeah, did some drum cover stuff.
Yeah,
just to kind of... It was like my little resume. I didn't have anything. So, and looking back at it, it's just like you just learn.
Right.
There's probably a million ways to do that better, but
there's a lot of stuff that you do and you think it's gonna pan out and then it doesn't,
right.
Or you fully expect this this is the break or whatever,
right.
And it just doesn't happen like that. I've had several opportunities like that where something comes up and I'm like, "Oh, this is it. This is where I go big, or this is where I get my chance to shine, where I'm gonna get the chance to leave my day job and go into the media industry full time," and stuff like that. Just doesn't it doesn't always pan out like you think it will.
Right.
But you never I said, you never know what could come from down the road, that type of thing. I had somebody text me 3 days ago, and she was like, "Hey, is this Zach the DJ?" And I was like, "This is Zach the DJ." Yeah. She was like, "Awesome, you DJ'd my sister's wedding 6 years ago." Well, my younger sister's getting married next fall, and we need a DJ. It's just so funny because
6 years ago.
6 years later, that's
crazy.
That type of thing.
Well, see, that's a thing because you're doing a good job if you make an impression that lasts for 6 years.
Yeah. 6 years later, they still want me to come back, and I got to be honest, I was not as good of a DJ 6 years ago as I am now, that type of thing. But the connection's still
Does your audience know you're a DJ?
Yeah, I talk about what I do and stuff.
So Zach was in my wedding. His dad DJ'd my wedding, but Zach also still co-DJ'd my wedding. He's an incredible DJ.
Well,
if you've never been at a wedding or any event he's at, so seriously,
see, that's
hit
what
him up.
I love DJing weddings, and I think that's obviously I'm a wedding DJ. I'm not a club DJ. I'm a wedding DJ. I talked about that in the first couple episodes and stuff, but that's where I shine as a DJ, is at weddings. Full swing, dance floor bobbing, everybody's going, that type of thing. It's so much fun, but I never have any content from that to show people.
Right, yeah.
So I get people ask me, "Hey, do you have any videos to show of your wedding?" I'm like, "No, I don't have any. I need to do that." So now we talked about this in the last episode. I got my DJ gear set up in the studio, and I'm actually going to start recording stuff that. So
I watched that and heard you guys talk about that. That's
I
cool.
definitely want to get more into showcasing my talents and stuff like that. But like you said, preparing and being ready, always having your craft ready to show, and having your resume and stuff like that. But anyway, those things I've gotten a lot better as a DJ the last few years. But connections like that's just they work out years later. And I did Taylor Hand's wedding last fall, and 4 years before that I did Trey's wedding, his brother, and like I said, I got a lot better as a DJ over the last few years. So I did Trey's wedding, and I thought I killed it at Trey's wedding, and I got a lot of compliments, stuff like that. Skip forward 4 years, I do Taylor's wedding, and everybody I've known them for years, but I haven't even talked to them since Trey's wedding. So skip forward, I finished that wedding, dude. I felt like I was on fire that night, and like everybody came like, dude, you got so much better. Like you're like a fine wine. You only got better as a DJ. I was like, oh man, thank you. I really appreciate that. I want to actually jump topics here. We jump topics a lot here on this show. I want to jump topics though because I did that wedding. Now, there's a couple things you need to know about that. I've known this family for a long time, and I met them through some other friends that I had in high school. One of those friends got married like 2 weeks before I DJ'd this wedding that I'm talking about this last fall. Those friends got married. I couldn't DJ it, so my dad DJ'd that wedding. I gave that wedding to him. He DJ'd that friend's wedding, and they knew the bride from that wedding. That's how I knew this other family. We all knew each other, right? But they didn't know it was my dad. I just gave him this name of another DJ. Oh yeah, DJ Dave. He'll take care of you. He got whatever. Dave. And they didn't know it was my dad. So I DJ'd Taylor's wedding. I finished Taylor's wedding, and what cracked me, they were like, dude, you were such a good DJ, man. Like, wow, you did so good and stuff. Like, where'd you pick this up from? I'm like, oh, my dad's a DJ. I picked it up from him. And then it hit my brain, like, oh, yeah, they saw my dad DJ like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, you guys were all at Melinda's wedding, right? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, that DJ? I was like, that's my dad. And they went, oh my god, it makes so much sense. What cracks me up, you guys haven't seen my dad. My dad was on episode 2 of the podcast, but you haven't seen him yet. My dad, we look a lot alike, except he wears his hat backwards, right? So I finished DJing that wedding. I was like, yeah, that's my dad. And they're like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. Wow, he's an amazing DJ. He taught you, you're amazing. And I went, yeah. And they went, we see it. It was just so funny the way I turned my hat back. I was like, we totally see it. You look just like him. I'm like, yeah, there we go. I made the connection. It was so funny watching them make the connection though. That cracked me up. I had to call my dad on my way home. I was like, Dad, I told him the whole story, and he was cracking up. Like, he's like, I'm glad that they thought I was a good DJ, and I'm glad they think you're a good DJ. And I'm like, yeah, it's a family business. But anyway,
dude, so that
cracked me up because I was like,
The older you get, like, you can just do that, and you look more like your dad every time you do it.
I'm being told that all the time. I should just cut to a picture of my dad, like.
You do look just like him.
Yeah,
so
Dad, if you're watching this podcast, we got my dad's gonna be on one of the future episodes here very soon. We already got one episode planned with him. So, anyway, so that was just a funny story, but it's just funny how all these connections makes. That's just another example of how. I knew these people from a different wedding, and my dad DJ'd that, and that family, the Hand family, they were like, I DJ'd, Trace and then Taylor's, which is their oldest 2 kids, and they have like 5 more kids under them, I think, and they were like, yeah, you're definitely going to be DJing all of our kids' wedding. You're gonna have a long career in this family because
job security.
Yeah, they're like, the next one down is she's turning 18 in March, and she was like, you're DJing my wedding. And I was like, I think you have to meet a guy first.
Right, yeah.
You have to meet somebody first. And she was like, I will, but I'm just letting you know you're DJing my wedding one day. I was like, all right, I appreciate that.
You got to remember, girls start planning their wedding when they turn like 12.
Yeah, that's true. So she was already planning her wedding, and I'm already the DJ at her wedding someday.
It's job security.
Cracked me up, but that's funny. Anyway. Dude, honestly, though, I kind of wish I would have been able to DJ my own wedding. Ken said that too. Dad, if you're watching this, you did a great job. You did a really, really good job. But when I'm out here, like, just practicing my DJing stuff, Ken's is like, man, you're a really good DJ, Zach. I'm like, oh, thanks, babe. Appreciate that. She's like, you should have DJ'd our wedding. I was like, yeah, my dad DJ'd our wedding. My dad did a fantastic job DJing our wedding. I loved it. I had a great time with it. He also just talking about being in the media industry and a smorgasbord. That's you guys saw the clip at the beginning of the logo, the smorgasbord of media talk.
I'm gonna interrupt you. What in the world is smorgasbord?
Smorgasbord?
I have no
Smorgasbord
idea.
is like a mass variety. Or like,
okay,
yeah.
It's just a term.
Yeah, imagine like a cheese platter with all kinds of different cheeses on it.
A cornucopia.
I didn't know if it was from a movie. Like,
no,
I've never heard the term before.
Smorgasbord. It's just like a big variety.
I was homeschooled.
Anyway, that's it. So was I.
We all were.
We all were homeschooled.
Oh, dang. That is true. I have no excuse.
Funny. Well, anyway, so I picked that up. The whole being in a variety of media things, I picked that up from my dad because my dad DJ'd our wedding. He officiated our wedding. He hosted our wedding at his house. He cooked the food for our wedding on his grill himself. He had a big part in our wedding.
Yeah.
He really went above and beyond for that.
Oh, dude, no doubt. Like, he killed it for that. But anyway, so I picked that up from him. But anyway, dude, we jump topics a lot, right?
I kind of want to switch back to talking about breaking into the industry.
Yeah, the whole topic of the podcast that I've totally disregarded at this point.
So you mentioned earlier how all of us have probably gotten opportunities where we're like, oh, this is going to be it. This is where we're going to make it. You know, this is where we're gonna get big. What are some of those opportunities that have either you've had or Zach you've had?
Luke, you want to kick us off?
So I guess I'm a little bit confused at the question. Are you asking
Like opportunities that came up that didn't quite pan out,
Oh,
but you
okay, I'm
thought
sorry.
that they would work out?
Yeah, so the Holland gig was the biggest gig. Now there was nothing like promised. I was just told I was filling in on a few shows because her drummer was unable to make a few events. So I knew that, but like you like hope in the back of your mind, and you're like, dang, like why would I meet this random person and like we didn't have a friendship like before this. Like obviously we kind of became friends like because of that process, but like yeah, it was just kind of like, dang, like you do wish like at some point like something would come out of that. It almost feels
like you're like, oh, it's destiny bringing
right,
the world,
yeah,
right?
like
the stars are aligning.
I couldn't have made that happen. It felt like a total God connection,
Right.
and like you said earlier, like you never know what is truly gonna come out of that.
Yeah.
Like, but as far as like the Chris Burns gig, that was the gig right before Holland, so. I just played at church for a long time in between 19 years old and like 22. I got married in that time frame. I started working full time. So I kind of stepped out of transitioned out of like Chris's team to go work full time because the gigs we were playing were so sporadic and like
not enough.
I wanted to start a family. Yeah. So
wasn't bringing home the bacon type of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, there's seasons for everything. Like. And I just think, like, not that, like, I couldn't have been a part of this sound, but even, like, Chris's sound has changed. Like, his style sounds completely different.
Now that
and he has a completely different band just because, seasons have come and gone with some of his team. But
I think musicians in general their sounds change.
Yeah. And if you're stuck in and I'm not saying this was me, but, like, as a musician, if you're stuck in a rut, like, you can be replaced like that, especially like if like it's you're in the industry. If you're just in a garage band and like you're the only drummer, like your band knows like they need you more than anything. But if you're traveling across the country and you meet people every day that play music, you can be replaced just that easy. So
every manager and every backline agent at a venue will have lists of people that they can call to fill spots.
Yep. Right. It happens. And kind of like what you were saying about not knowing like what an opportunity might lead to down the road. Like this is kind of off topic, but my old boss, so I worked in construction over the last few years. My old boss, and actually an old coworker from that same company, I'm kind of friends with them. I don't really see him or hang out with them too often, but we stayed in touch. And my old boss is like kind of a gearhead with guitar stuff. He plays guitar. He's kind of getting his feet wet with production. And they just called me to like do like a few remote tracks for like an artist at their church. So awesome. I'm working on one right now, and I think it might lead to a few others, is what I was told, but we'll see. So it's like my old boss, I'm actually...
It's weird how those connections work out
tracking
sometimes.
A song for him right now. Like
your old boss in the construction industry.
Yeah.
Like not even related to what you like as a musician or a drummer or anything.
Right.
Which is just odd, like you said, odd how those connections work out sometimes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think like everyone has different dreams as far as where, if it's music, where it would take you. Like if you want to just do studio stuff or like play like live, I think everyone wants to play like in
everybody wants to be like on stage or whatever.
Like that's the dream.
Everybody wants to play arenas.
Oh yeah.
It is the dream, but
but like that doesn't especially the day we live in right now, that's not sustaining anybody.
That's not a thing anymore.
Not in 2020. We're not a full concert venue stuff. No. That's what we were actually, I was just talking to my dad about that on the phone like an hour or so ago, about like we do this gig every single year at St. Patrick's Day, and Ramsey's there every year with us, and it's just like it's usually Ramsey, my dad, and I, and we're just like working that gig nonstop.
It got wrecked last
It
year.
got wrecked last year because we set up the gig and then COVID
that was
shut down
right
the
in the middle
bars.
of everything,
Yeah,
right?
the bars and restaurants had to close the day we set up for the
Dang.
gig. Right. So we set up, and then they said,
It
bars
never
and restaurants, and then we had to tear right back down again. We had one artist on stage, and it was
Wow.
even small from then, like
Yeah.
by comparison to what it normally was. And then we had to tear down, which kind of sucked. But no, I was talking to him earlier, and I was like, yeah, so we can talk about on the podcast. We're going to talk about the Fido gig, and he was like, yeah, we'll talk about it, but like we might not even get to do that again this year. I'm like, dang, man, that would suck if 2 years in a row we don't get to do that. Like,
Yeah, it's hard to tell how things are going to turn, if they will, but to like sustain like yourself financially in the industry, you have to, maneuver with all these like changes. So you look at like doing a track for your old boss as like kind of boring, or maybe not the coolest exciting thing, but it's helping pay the bills.
Right.
So it's a gig. Yeah. So, and that, I guess it just depends on like what you're capable of doing. Like if you're a drummer, like you may not have all that gear. You may not even have any kind of head knowledge of how to like engineer like a track and send over files. Like that's just part
that's something
of being
you've been
ready.
getting into
Yeah.
recently, though, quite a bit.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. I didn't travel at all last year. I don't think anybody did, but, and I'm just getting my feet wet with remote tracking.
You're trying to go from just a drummer to a drummer that can record and track your own
and
stuff.
that's part of that being ready thing is like
Be able to mix and stuff.
I
like that.
want to be able to make money living my dream out however I can. So like I just want to be in the music industry. Like,
I think
of course, like
all of us.
Yeah, like of course, like I want to like play drums. Like the dream is like go play arenas, tour, go into studios, have everything set up. You're just drumming. There's nothing more to it. But that's not realistic unless you're like Josh
And
Dunn.
I
or,
would
like-
love to show up to a wedding and not have to load my gear in and out every time, but I just want to put my hands on the table and go. But no.
Until you can pay a grip, living wage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which is unlikely, but
yeah.
for any of us to be able to hire help to set up our gear for us. But
Yeah.
Um,
Or unless you're like just playing for like the top 10 bands in America or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Ramsey, I want to hear some stuff from you, buddy. What's some stuff that you've done to try to like put yourself out there as a
So,
musician?
I've had actually a couple interesting opportunities. When I was younger and I was just getting started with making music, I was on the forums a lot. There were production forums and things where people would talk about techniques for production and mixing and mastering, and I would go on there and I would upload clips. And I had watched a lot of tutorials about how, at the time, it's not really the same now, but at the time I had watched a lot of mastering tutorials. And so I started putting up on the forums that I would do free masters. And I started getting like, I don't know, 2 or 3 a month.
Because mastering is an art of its own, beyond tracking and mixing.
That's why there are engineers who do nothing but mastering.
And they do a really good job.
They don't touch the recording, they don't touch the mix, they just master, and it is a science. So I did that for a while, and I was like, ooh, this would be cool. What if I get so good at mastering that I get hired by a studio to be a full-time mastering engineer, or I get put on at a label or something? Because I mastered for a rapper. I mastered for a couple neuro EDM guys. And on that topic as well, I had done a collab, which is long gone. It doesn't even exist anymore, with a neuro EDM artist who is now on Monster Cat.
Oh,
Dang.
really? So you got signed by them? They're a label, right?
Yeah.
So you're
yes.
saying long
He got
gone
signed by that
because
label.
the label ditched that track?
It
on
didn't end up on the label.
Gotcha.
It didn't end up on the label. It was just something we did. This was before he even got signed.
Right.
But I noticed that he had gotten signed, and I was like, no way. If we had actually continued working together, what if I had ended up on the label with him?
Right. That's
Yeah.
like that. Another thing of like opportunities that you think like, man, like that could have been the thing, like
Yeah.
almost like a missed opportunity there. Like,
Yeah, I think though, like with that little disappointment or great disappointment, depending on what the situation is, like, you just gotta, like, learn from it and, like, not let it ruin your life. Like, how can that make you a better person?
How can you bounce back from that? Keep working.
What
on
can
it?
you learn from it, and how can you
take
that on to the next thing?
I think the biggest thing to take away from opportunities that don't pan out is to try again.
Yeah. Keep trying, put yourself out there.
Because if you give up after one missed opportunity, then you're not going anywhere.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And, like, I hear so many people say, like, oh, well, music's just a hobby.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that people even just think that, especially in church culture, because,
no doubt.
like, there's no payment.
It's all volunteer stuff.
Yeah, sometimes there's 3, 4, 5 services at one church that, like, I've played
on a Sunday. You're there from like 6 a.m. You've done that before.
Yeah,
like
all
been there from 6
volunteer
a.m. to like
based.
5 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah, which I have no issue doing it because I love to play drums. So that there has to be a healthy balance of, like, why am I even doing this? And I want to say, if you're doing it for money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, because you will not make money.
That's something.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Now that's something that, like, I know I've talked a lot about with both of you too, because that's something I talk about a lot. Like, you got to do what you're passionate about. You have to be like, and like you said, you got to have a healthy balance with it and stuff like that. But you have to keep pursuing it because you're passionate about it. You can't be like, it's so hard for me to, like, post vlogs and podcasts and stuff like that and be like, oh yeah, that vlog only got 15 views or whatever, you know, like 5 likes on Facebook or whatever. And I have like 600 and some, almost 700 followers on my Facebook page, and when I post a vlog and it's like, great, 3 people saw that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
kind of sucks, because I want it to succeed. You know, you naturally want your stuff to succeed.
For sure.
You want to see that. You know, obviously we all want to see that financially, because the dream is to be able to do that full time and not, you know.
So that leads into my next point. I think if it gets to the point where it's considered a hobby, and you had always considered it a hobby, but it gets to the point where it's taking up the same amount of time as a part-time or full-time job in your life, to the point where if you're working a full-time job and also putting the same amount of time, 40 hours a week, into your craft, you should be getting paid for it.
See, we did that for you and I. Put a pretty strict schedule in a couple years ago. I think Ramsey and I were just talking about a couple years ago. Like, we really, really wanted to put solid effort into media work. So I think, like, because at the time we were working at the same place, and so we would, like, carpool every day, and we'd, like, carpool, and then we'd come back here, and our desks are in the office. Obviously, you guys have seen where we do the podcast in there. But, like, we just sat down and, you know, we worked on stuff together as much as we could. We worked on music or videos or photos or whatever projects we had to work on. So we'd get off work, come home, take, like, a quick hour break from, you know, getting home, and then we'd sit down and, like, punch the clock. Like, we're punching in and we're working hard. And we did that for a while. Like, I wish we would have kept going with it longer, but, like, we did that for a while. We treated it like a full-time job, because, you know, you got to do what you're passionate about, and you have to treat it like, if you want it to be your full-time, you have to treat it like it's your full-time with the same level of commitment.
And we ended up making some leeway with that routine as well, because we ended up finishing a track and posting it.
Yeah, we did that. You posted all of your content. Like, you had like 5 or 6 weeks of songs posted online.
Yeah,
I did a handful of vlogs there.
There has never been a time in my career where I've been able to upload content like that on a weekly basis.
And that like that was the fruit that we saw from treating it like that. And that was something like you know, like I think Luke said at the beginning, like, we're still beating on the door trying to break into the industry, and I think we're all trying to do that. But it's one of those things that we have to treat it consistently, have to treat it professionally, have to always keep your craft prepared.
For sure.
Do what you're passionate about. Not treat it like, not think about it constantly like, you know, how much money can I get out of this, whatever. But just treat it like a passion, and treat it like it's something that you're really, really passionate about. But treat it with the same level of commitment that you would a job.
For sure.
You know, that type of thing. So I think there's a lot of stuff to be said about that. I could go on like for hours about, you know, trying to get into any industry.
We know.
It's just like,
yeah. I think like one of the most important things is not letting your head get involved while you're in that like preliminary stage of like getting things worked out. Like whether it's you're trying to practice to be good at something, or you're trying to come up with, how do I quote people for my work, whatever it may be. Like, don't let like down the road get in your head. Like, just focus on what you're, focus on the task at hand, and stay like inspired, and like keep learning every day. Like,
I think another really good point to add on to that in the same kind of vein is don't worry about trying to make your content exactly like somebody else's, even if it's somebody who you're aspiring to be like. Don't freak out. Yeah, don't freak out and give up and get frustrated when it's not exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you're not them. You're going to have your own sound, you're going to have your own look. If you do photo or video, you know, anything that you do in the media industry is going to have your personality in it.
Yeah, you'll never make it trying to copycat somebody else. I've gone through phases, like especially with Instagram, of trying to like make it a drumming Instagram account. Like, it's not personal. Like, maybe here and there I might have something personal, but like,
you just post drum
drum stuff, because I've seen the guys that have, you know, close to 200,000 followers, and they're just drum guys.
Yeah.
But those guys also play with like big artists, and they make a really good full-time living off of music. I've gone through phases of like following all those dudes to just like get inspired, like see who's out there, not like as a competition thing, but like,
just
if you're not like,
see what you're looking for.
If you're not like looking at somebody that's like better than you, how are you gonna like know what the bar is, essentially? But then I've gone through, you know, seasons where I've just unfollowed every one of those guys and refollowed them again, just because you compare so heavily on social media.
Balance, man.
So really, like, when it comes to art, creativity, whatever you're doing, like, you cannot put your work up next to somebody else and try to make it look like theirs. You'll never succeed.
Exactly.
No doubt.
So just like, it gets boring, like those seasons where I've like unfollowed everybody, and like, I love to watch the drum stuff. I'm like, man, like my Instagram looks boring now. Like, but I've realized in those times that like, well, I'm not heavily critiquing myself every day now, and I'm able to like sit down on the drums and actually like what I hear, and like I'm not beating myself up every time I don't play a beat.
It's
like
good to like
this guy or that
to
guy.
look up to some another artist, another, you know, entrepreneur, or, you know, another influencer or whatever, and try to like be inspired by that. It's when it gets toxic and you start comparing and going, my stuff is trash. I'm not as good as them. You know, I know a lot of people have that struggle, and I think that falls way beyond music or media. I think everybody does that. I don't look like them, I don't sound like that, whatever. But in media industry specifically, it's like my content isn't as good as theirs. I don't drum the same way they do. My video isn't good as theirs, whatever. And it kind of becomes a bummer. But you have to keep your mindset on, I'm just me, and I'm working on my content, and I'm going to keep pursuing to get better. And, you know, if it gets toxic, you got to unfollow sometimes.
For sure,
But you still want to be able to have aspirations and look towards something to say, I want to get to there or whatever, and keep pursuing that. But the passion never like dies off from there. But
exactly,
you just got to stay balanced, for sure.
It's a really tough thing, because like I'm you know me, I'm always pushing me like, you gotta go out there, do it, you gotta make the dream come true, get super Shia LaBeouf about it, like just do it, get out there, you know, like just, you know, whatever it is, grab your camera and go, or pick up your drumsticks and, you know, whatever. And I've had the conversation with both of you numerous times.
For hours
on end. I'm sorry, I know it gets
no, I love it.
Where I'm like, bro, listen, you gotta like set up a camera, if it's just your phone, or the, you know, like helping you set up your Osmo with the light, just put up a light, put up a camera, whatever it is, even if it's your phone or whatever, and just play, dude. Just play. Put it out there. Just get your content going out there, like that type of thing. I still think there's a lot of opportunity that you have. Like, have you ever got on TikTok?
I don't have a TikTok. I haven't tapped into that
the
yet.
potential. This is what we talked about in our last podcast too. How volatile TikTok is right now. The fact that going viral on TikTok is actually like a very achievable goal at the moment.
It's extremely easy.
Like Ramsey posted his first video and had over 2,000 views on it.
And all it was is I took a video of my computer screen, and I was making a joke about something in one of my games, and I posted it, and
boom, 2,000 views.
The next day I had 2,000 views.
I posted pretty consistently and never really saw much on TikTok, and I duetted one dude's video one time. He did a video, I duetted his video. and I got 675,000 views on my video. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
and now I have like 2,400 followers on TikTok, which is the most followers I have on any of my social media. But prior to that, the almost 700 on Facebook was my highest, and now I have over 2,000 people on TikTok for reasons I can't even explain.
And I still think it's interesting that you have more of a following on Facebook than you do on YouTube.
Yeah, because I was posting more consistently on Facebook than I was on YouTube. There's a couple of specific projects that I did that I posted to Facebook, and I didn't post to YouTube because I didn't have a big following. And so everybody just migrated to Facebook. Plus, like, my family shared all my stuff, and then their friends and stuff like that went to my Facebook. And that's, I don't know, it's a mixed batch on Facebook, but like TikTok is also a mixed batch. But
all the sites are so much different.
Yeah, dude, there's so much content all over the place. But I was just, that's what we were talking about last time, is how like TikTok could be like turn someone viral overnight.
Yeah.
If you post consistently and you have quality content, and people like, dude, you could grab a following from anywhere there.
I should know this, but is there like a time limit? Like, I know Vine was 6 seconds or something.
1 minute tops.
Okay.
Like Instagram or anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 1 minute tops. Like, they have presets for 15 seconds or 60 seconds.
Right.
But it's like, just do 60 seconds,
I might dive into it one of these days.
I actually several times now just stumbled across TikToks of drummers just like jamming out covers of songs, stuff like that. It's like, man, that'd be pretty sweet. Luke should hop on there and do that.
Yeah, just start putting clips up,
Because here's the thing is, if you go into that with zero expectations, because it's TikTok, like.
Right, yeah. I have nothing to lose
here. All you would have to do on TikTok is play to one popular song.
Right.
And post a clip of it, and it would probably explode.
Grab like one of the top trending, because TikTok always has like trending songs. Just hop on there and like make a quick like take a picture of your foot or whatever, and then hop on there and then see what the top trending songs are. Delete that and then drum to that and post it. Boom,
gotcha.
You got it. People do that all the time. But real quick, I want to touch on this really, really fast here. Is the man, what was I? I just had a whole train of thought here. What did I just?
We were talking about social media.
Man, I just had that whole train of thought, and now it just vanished. Dang, man. I don't know. It just was there, and now it's gone. I had that on my head, and then Ramsey started talking, and now I lost it.
Dude,
sorry.
It's okay, not your fault.
Think about it while I'm telling this story.
Go for it.
So this is kind of off topic, but we were talking about like how you might do well on TikTok and maybe not so well on Facebook. Like every like social media,
Oh, that's what it was.
Go for it.
No,
I'll finish after you.
Okay,
we're waiting.
So
we're from the Midwest, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, we interrupted.
Anyway,
I said open the store today, and I was like, why did I do this? Like some dude was coming out. I had the cart. He was coming out. We almost
let me just sneak
each
on by
other.
here.
I was like, oh, sorry. He was like, you're fine.
My Facebook, my business Facebook, I take super for a long time took super seriously, posted regularly. I used to post on behalf of a business. I used to post it was a business account.
Right.
Like Zima Cena Productions, I used to post it us, our team, whatever. I posted it as a business, not as a personal thing. And when I started vlogging, I switched it to a more personal thing. But I still took it very seriously, and I posted whatever I posted was very intentional, very deliberate. That's how I handled Facebook. Instagram, same thing. I only posted my quality content, my quality stuff. I didn't post anything that wasn't with a professional camera, that type of thing. I treated my Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube, stuff like that. TikTok, other than Twitter, but Twitter doesn't really count. But TikTok is probably the first social media app that I've had that I don't care.
Yeah.
I go into TikTok. I went into TikTok with zero expectations because I was like, it's freaking TikTok. It's stupid. I don't care, whatever. And it wasn't until I blew up on TikTok that I was like, there's a lot to this. But I had to keep reminding myself, I'm just gonna keep treating TikTok like it's some stupid thing. I don't care. I'm gonna keep posting on there. But I'm not going to engineer everything I post.
Right. The people that are popping off aren't engineering their stuff. They're just on a whim.
Yeah,
doing
because
something.
you can, and TikTok, anyone that's gone viral on social media will attest to this, but TikTok especially, you can put hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of shooting and editing into your videos and post them, and it flops. But then, one person does one thing. One person shoots a video of their dog hacking, and then it'll viral. That's it. It's dumb stuff that goes viral on TikTok. So I'm just gonna I'm not gonna treat TikTok all serious. I'm just gonna post what I post and have fun with it.
Yeah.
and that's what I've been doing. And because like the prime example of that is the fact that I, prior to that one blow up video with the duet, prior to that, everything I posted on TikTok, I was like thinking about it, processing it, editing it, put it into Premiere, color grade, whatever, post, and couple thousand views here and there, whatever. The one video I just duetted because I thought it was fun, that I worked at that vid. Hey, look, how about that? No editing. Phone at the end of my arm. That's it.
Yeah.
And post straight into the app. Boom. 675,000 views. What?
Right.
Like, I was like, okay, I need to now realize not to treat TikTok seriously. I just post to have fun. So
yeah,
maybe think about that.
Yeah.
Take some of the content you already have.
I think there's truth to that, though. Like, my brother Todd, he is always like, bro, you want to watch, like, TikToks I've saved? Like, he just saves, like, tons of, like, dumb, hilarious TikToks.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the majority of people get on TikTok.
Yeah,
they want to
the ones
see
that put the least amount of effort in are the ones that blow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
now,
how it goes.
That brings an interesting point back to being in the media industry.
Mm-hmm.
So you said, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to post it, and, that'll be it.
Who cares?
A lot of people would, especially in the media industry, a lot of people would disagree with that mentality.
And I do too, for the most part, except for TikTok.
Well, but hear me out. A lot of people would disagree with that mentality, saying that you need to find a vein and try to strive to fit this kind of mold for whatever content you're trying to make. If you do what you want to do and just post it, it doesn't matter if you're trying to fit in with a certain community, if you're trying to fit in with the drum community, if you're trying to fit in with the DJ community. If you just post what you do and what you love to post, there are people out there who will like it.
Oh,
there
no
are
doubt.
people out there who will want to watch your stuff.
No doubt.
Who want to listen to your music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you there. I mean, like, you got, like, there are people out there, especially on TikTok, where you can just post stuff, and the people will find you, because the TikTok algorithm is actually really good at putting people where they giving them the content they should see on the side of TikTok they should be on. So, like, I'm not on drummer TikTok, but every once in a while drummer videos show up, but, like, it finds the people that want to watch that content and gives them that content. It makes that connection for you, but
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
I think we're at an hour right now.
we're at 47 minutes.
47 minutes?
Yeah, so we just passed our 45-minute mark. That's okay. We'll start winding it down here. Yeah, we'll just recap, if you're trying to get into the music industry, media industry, whatever industry you're trying to get into, be passionate about it, but don't take it too seriously. Treat it like you actually care about it, but don't, like, drive yourself mad and bum yourself out and get yourself depressed about how content's not blowing up like you think it should.
It's not worth your mental health.
People want to hear the story I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I interrupted you. Sorry.
It's
Go ahead.
quick. It kind of goes hand in hand with that. Mm-hmm. So my friend Jordan, who's another artist, I actually should have mentioned earlier. I just tracked, like, he did a studio record.
Yeah, I saw that. You guys
yeah, so it's not out yet, but I got to play drums on all that, so, like, that's cool. Like, just cool connections.
I think I've met Jordan maybe one time, and we were, like, in the same room at the same time. But since he and I have been playing games on Ruben's stream, we've actually, like, became friends. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah.
Hi, Jordan, if you're watching this.
So I might botch the story, but there's not a whole lot to it. He was saying that one of his friends or somebody he follows on social media from Mansfield, where he lives, she's like a SoundCloud artist, like never blew up, never had a lot of followers on Instagram. Like, she just loved music and kept pumping music out. Mm-hmm. She had never looked into Apple Music or Spotify. Like, she never had a distributor putting music into those
Out on those
platforms.
things. She was just on
for her.
SoundCloud, right?
Yeah. Somebody fraudulently created a Spotify account
On her
name, and I think the girl maybe has, like, just rough estimate. Let's just say she has like 1,500 followers on Instagram.
Okay.
She's getting, like, I think, like, upwards of like 30,000 monthly streams on Spotify that she had no idea.
And it's not even her. She didn't even start that.
Right.
Dang.
Is it her music, though?
It's all her music. They're somebody was
Ripping it from
pulling it off of
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. So she's
Dang,
like
bro.
trying to they're trying to rectify it with Spotify. I think she's
Right.
gonna get ownership of that account, but somebody's been making money.
If you could take over somebody else's,
Just
it's
making
your work.
passive. But yeah, she, like, I think he said she, like, posted on Instagram and was like, Well, today's kind of a bittersweet day. I just woke up and found out that I'm like low-key famous on Spotify. Like
The other
have
thing,
like thousands of monthly listeners that I had no idea.
the crazy thing about that too is that whoever uploaded that is getting payment for those plays.
Yeah, well, not anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
that hopefully
or they-
that's what
they were-
rectify
they
that.
were.
exactly
At
though.
least.
Like that's probably the bitter part. But
Right.
I would be excited. I'd be like,
Dude, honestly, I'd be
I
pretty
mean,
sick. I'd be like, dude, really?
that'd be a great. Like you literally thought, oh, there's like 6 people listening to my SoundCloud.
Right, because
stuff.
it means that your content actually did good. Because yeah, someone else put your content up and stole
Right.
it. Shame on them. That sucks.
Yeah.
But if your content was actually that good, your music.
Could
was
you
actually that good,
imagine?
that'd be
That'd
dope.
be really,
That'd be really
crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
That'd
don't
be
know who
amazing.
that artist is, but your story's nuts.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and wind it down here then, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I appreciate it if you stuck it out this long. I'm gonna keep. I promise. I'm really trying to break my trend of my January trend of starting a project and then like doing it for a few months and it fizzles out and then I'm like meh, and then next January I'm like new project. But I'm picking this up from last year. This was my January project last year was the podcast. I had a few other projects in the meantime, but I promise I'm going to start doing this more consistently. This is my plan to in 2021. I want to actually keep this going. I'm making it easier on myself by having my rig kind of always around and easy to set up, and I am taking it more seriously. So you guys will be seeing more podcasts. If you're listening on SoundCloud, I may not be on SoundCloud very long. If you're watching on YouTube, please consider subscribing. That'd be great. If you want to check out Mr. Noah Ramsey's content, you can find him at Aerofractal. You can see that on the bottom of the screen there. Everything. His website, his Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud.
Not website.
No, not website. But anyway, you can find him Aerofractal on all social media platforms.
Yep.
Luke, give yourself a plug. Where's your social medias, buddy?
At the Luke Sullivan.
At the Luke Sullivan.
Or just Luke Sullivan on YouTube. There's not much.
I got
there.
your name right across the bottom of the screen there, buddy. And then if you want to find my stuff, I'm at Z Messina on almost all social media platforms. Kind of like that right there. But anyway, thanks for checking out the podcast, and hopefully we will see you guys very soon. I got a few more guests lined up, and Luke will be back for another podcast here in a couple weeks. But other than that, I think we should be good to go. So we will see you guys in the next episode.
Dope.
Dope.